Anxiety can be passed from one person to another, sort of like a cold. In this case, if you can give somebody your anxiety, then you don't have it anymore. They have it. I did anger management. Somebody would be rude to my guys in the group. And man, if somebody was rude to them, they would go out over the top and become even more rude. And we began to think about that you're picking up the stupid ball. And that was a big hit with them. So they'd come into the group and say, yeah, I picked up the stupid ball again. Hi, I'm Jim. I'm going to present again today on this model of collaboration and tell you how I use it a little bit in therapy with some case examples. So just to review on this x-axis is how well you cooperate on a scale of 1 to 10 if you have a little disagreement with somebody or conflict with somebody and you can't say 5. So the idea is how much, when you have an argument with somebody or disagreement, do you try to meet their concerns? And I call it cooperation. And then on the y-axis, how assertive are you? How much do you try to meet your own concerns when you have a disagreement? And then if we put those two numbers together, we can see what quadrant you're in, okay? And again, I've presented on this a couple of times, and those videos are on YouTube, so this will be just kind of a quick summary. So if a person is low on assertiveness and low on cooperation, they would be in this quadrant. And that's, they feel hopeless, they withdraw, feel detached. And if they're low on cooperation and high on assertiveness, they're in this quadrant. And this is, I want to win, self-centered, angry, anxious. All of them are anxious in some ways, except this one. And this is collaboration. This is where we're headed. This is where I try to help people get. Because when they get up here, their anxiety is lower because they're getting along with people better. And I said in the beginning of this, and this is kind of what I call mental health 101, that we have to get along with other people. And if we don't get along with other people, we're asking for trouble. When we get along with people better, when we learn to collaborate, when we learn to solve problems together, we're healthier. We're less anxious, we're healthier. So I end up using this model quite a bit in therapy because I specialize in treating people with panic disorder. And if this isn't working well, it adds to the anxiety people have that can end up in panic and or in something very similar to panic, which is kind of surprising, and that is anger problems. And I'll talk a little bit more about how those things are similar here in a bit. Okay, so again, the summary is this axis is how assertive you are. How much do you try to get your own way? On a scale of 1 to 10, you can't say 5. And on this axis is how much are you trying to meet the other person's concerns on a scale of 1 to 10, and you can't say 5. So now I've got some examples from people I've been treating that I can show you where they're at in this process. So this is a really interesting fellow. I'm going to call him Terry. And he has been a very dominant guy. He's been a powerful guy, hard to disagree with, always right, kind of can't even get along, couldn't even get along with his parents very well. And that's really all changed. He was he would go into a fight mode. Now, remember, when you go into anxiety, those chemicals are really surprising you, and they're scaring you, and people, when they have those chemicals hit them, they think they're dying or going crazy or losing control, and it surprises them. It feels like they're being attacked by something, or they're just kind of losing it. But when those same chemicals, those fight or flight chemicals hit, and they go into an angry mode, remember they're fight or flight chemicals, and it's the opposite of being panicky, because they get really aggressive. So this fellow has a history of, when he gets anxious, he attacks. And he's very dominant and very aggressive. And you wouldn't think about him as an anxious fellow, but I think that is a form of anxiety. It's his form of anxiety. And I want to tell you, he has totally stopped that. He works in a factory. He's a supervisor in a factory, and his boss wants him to return to being more angry, which I think is kind of funny, but he won't do it. You know, he's solving problems with people. So he's going from this angry, I'm going to win every argument, to let's talk about it. Let's see if we can't figure out what you think and what I think, see if we can't get on the same page. And his life is so much better now. He's so much happier. He has a good relationship with his dad and his mom. He's got really good friendships, which he's always had. He's always had the good friendships. But anyway, that his anxiety came out in a fight mode, and he's not doing that anymore. He's really moving from this self-centered stuff very much to let's work it out. Let me think about what I'm feeling before I open my mouth, you know. So he's much more rational in his approach. So think about this. He was reacting from this part of his brain, this fight or flight, this emotional part of his brain. And now he's more up here in the problem-solving part of his brain. And that changes the way he is and the way he relates to people. So if he doesn't have panic, but he has a close cousin of it in my mind, and that is his aggression, or his anxiety turned into aggression. He used those fight or flight chemicals to get his way and to dominate. Okay, now I'm going to just kind of review this again. So this is a withdrawn, detached mode. It's low on assertiveness and low on cooperation. It's kind of hopeless in some ways. And then this mode is accommodating. It's where you are really submissive to whoever you're in the argument, trying to meet their concerns and not really speaking up about your own concerns. This kind of person frequently gets in a relationship with a highly aggressive person, and it can be a stable relationship, but it's also pretty distant and not very pleasing to either one of them, not very satisfying. Okay, so I want to talk to you about another man that I have in treatment, and he is a guy that has been very passive. He was raised as the youngest of a number of siblings, and he came along later, and he felt like he was kind of left out of it. I think the older brothers were pretty dynamic and, lively, and he just felt like he got lost. And there's a position in dysfunctional families called the lost child, and I think he fits it just beautifully. So he's been very passive and not very social. And the way he learned to be social was to drink alcohol. And that's caused him a lot of trouble and some legal trouble. And he's very passive in relationships. He's in a second marriage with a woman, and she pretty much ignores him. And he has been passively accepting it. So he would be in this accommodating position. And in our work, what does this person have to add to get to here? Okay, so they're in this highly cooperative but not very assertive mode. And in order to get up here, see if you can think about what they need to add. They need to add being assertive. So what they really need to do is learn to speak up. And he is learning to do that. And also, he's got to learn how to be social without alcohol, how to connect with people. Like, you're not going to connect with people if you're just giving in to them all the time. That's not really a relationship. This is a relationship. Back and forth, getting on the same page, solving problems, addressing issues. But if you just give in and give in and give in, you kind of get walked on. And he was very much getting walked on in the marriage that he has. So he's on the move out of that because he's learning how to speak up. And also, he's given up alcohol because, I mean, that's phony courage, you know. That's a skill that goes away if you only can speak up when you're drinking. So he's given up alcohol. He's learning how to speak up. I sort of doubt if that marriage is going to be able to work things out. I mean, I don't know. That's just my guess. Anyway, so we got one guy that's been here and it's moving to here. And the other guy I presented is in this accommodating mode, almost a withdrawn mode, truthfully, as I think about it. So he's got to learn how to really meet somebody's needs and how to speak up so you can solve problems together. So I hope that's understandable, that you can. The idea of therapy, and the way I use this in therapy, is let's move. Let's don't stay stuck in this mode. Let's don't stay stuck in this mode, and certainly not in this mode. Let's get up here where you're really social and working problems out with people. Okay, so let's talk about another person here. Okay, so I talked about this person before. I can't remember what name I used, but she's been very passive, almost to the point of not being in the relationship at all, and certainly surrendering to what the other person thinks. And she is really starting to speak up. She's starting to move from accommodating to speaking up, not necessarily working things out, but holding her own ground. And it's a beautiful thing to see, by the way. She's very much happier. So she worked at this store, and it was time for her to get a raise. And they asked her questions about, how to do this or how to do that. And she didn't answer them right because she hadn't had training on it. So she didn't get the raise, but she got busy and got another job as a medication person in a Walgreens. And this is a job that she's getting training in. She can have a career at it. Her husband doesn't want her to do it. Because she may have to work on the weekends and that would interrupt their time. But guess what? She's standing her ground. She's doing it. She's getting the training. She's going through the certification. And it's really good. And instead of him just dominating her, he's accepting that. And she went back to the store, and the guy said, "How come you're quitting?" And she said, "Well, you didn't give me a raise." And he said, "Well, you didn't know the answer to those questions." And she said, "Yeah, because you didn't give me training except in the first couple weeks, and nobody asked me those questions. So the guy that owns the store said, maybe you can give me some ideas about how to train people better." So he was really regretting the fact that he was letting her go, but he was expecting her just to give in and be passive and stay there. And she would have in the past, but she's more assertive, thinking about what she wants and her own goals, and kind of headed for this. Anyway, so this model can be used to help people, become less anxious. And how come they're less anxious? They're less anxious because they're solving problems better. They're getting their needs met more if they can begin to speak up and actually get on the same page and work it out with people. Now, I want to talk to you about another concept. And the concept is, again, it's about anxiety and how anxiety can be passed from one person to another. Sort of like a cold. One person can have a cold, and if they're around other people, they can get the cold or COVID or whatever it is. But anxiety is a lot like that. So if one person's anxious and intense, they tend to pass that anxiety on to other people that they're engaged with. I say that anxiety is like a football. So if you've got a football and you can hand it off to somebody and they take it, then they've got the football and you don't have the football. In this case, if you can give somebody your anxiety, then you don't have it anymore. They have it. And there's a lot of examples of that. I did anger management for intensive probation for about 15 years. And I would see people, somebody would be rude to my guys in the group. And man, if somebody was rude to them, they would go out over the top and become even more rude. So I called that that they picked up the other person's anxiety. Somebody handed them the football, the anxiety ball. And we began to think about that when you pick up somebody's anxiety and then you start acting poorly, that you're picking up the stupid ball. And that was a big hit with them. So they'd come into the group and say, yeah, I picked up the stupid ball again. So that anxiety is really transferable, and the better you get, the more you have good psychological boundaries, the more you can be around somebody who's anxious and not act out or pick up their anxiety. And I've got a fella who's divorced. I'll call him Paul. And the person he's divorced from they have children together, and one of his children are getting married. And this guy was left. He was brokenhearted when they got a divorce. He didn't want it. he was kind of falling apart. He came and got in therapy. He's gotten a heck of a lot better. He's remarried. His wife loves him. He's successful. He's a good parent. But they're going to this wedding, and he's afraid that his ex is going to be rude and not talk to him, and that he's going to pick up the stupid ball. And then he's going to say something rude. So she sent him a text message. They only talked through text messages, and it was really rude. And he wanted to respond back. She won't address his new wife, won't say a word to her. And I think she's shocked about how well he's recovered. So he talked to me this week, and his goal was not being rude, enjoying the celebration, remembering what he's there for, and not picking up her anxiety and responding in kind with rudeness. So he was in this very accommodating role with his first wife. And then he would, when he got tired of that, he would move up here and be really aggressive and then go back to being accommodating. But now, in his new marriage, he's not just accommodating, he's actually solving problems with his new love. So it's a great story. And I hope his celebration goes well. So I'd like to summarize here about the kind of the work I'm doing. One of the things I kind of specialize in is treating panic disorder. And if you know anybody that has that, or if you have that trouble, I'm doing coaching for anybody that speaks English, honestly, and I'm really excited about doing that. So if you know anybody, maybe you could share this video with them, and then they could contact us if they have an interest in working with me. So in summary, we got to get along with the other people. And when we get along with the other people, when we can solve problems together, rather than just reacting emotionally, we're up here. And when we get up here and we can really listen to other people, we can be respectful of the differences between us and respectful of them, and actually try to hear what they're saying. It's very respectful. And if they're talking and you're in your head trying to think about what you're going to say next to win the argument, that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get you to really listen respectfully, express yourself clearly, and then see if you can't get into solving problems together. And all of us fail at that, but we can also all improve in what we're doing. And I'm actually improving in how I do it, which is very pleasing to me. So anyway, click the link below if you're interested in this, and sign up.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Yeah, like and subscribe below. Pass this on to somebody if you know somebody that's struggling with panic disorder, because part of panic disorders is getting people up here, because when you get up there, their anxieties go way down. And in my work with people with panic disorders, part of it is getting them to express themselves more, because most of the time people with panic disorders they're either kind of given up or they're down here and accommodating. So anyway, thank you for your time. If you have questions or comments, I'd love to respond to them and answer them. So hopefully I'll see you again on the next video.